Hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diaries podcast, a show on the human stories behind indie game development. This is your loyal Indie Diaries and host, Anthony Wolf, writer, game designer, and senior content manager in social media, as you guys already know by now. And today, I am speaking to Manu from Crisalu Games for Indie Diary number 55. And this episode is in collaboration with Gentleland, a company founded by the amazing indie games marketer, Jackie Martin, who helps a lot of indie developers out there, small studios, solo devs, just get to the right audience for the dream game. And she does an amazing job. I recommend you give her a follow, especially if you're interested in these kinds of stories. And Manu is working with his game over there in Argentina on Goblin Cleanup, which is a very, very interesting little cleanup game inspired by Viscera Cleanup and also Lethal Company. And about that, please go to youtube.com/theindiediaries because right before this episode went live last week, basically for you, a new episode of Blank Pages dropped where I tried Goblin Cleanup in first person myself. So make sure to check it out to see if it tickles your fancy. Let's get into the episode now. Hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diaries podcast, a show on the human stories behind indie game development, as you guys know from the intro. So today with me is Manu, a guest from, I think you're from Argentina, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, I've got Manu from Argentina, and this is another episode in the little mini-series, friendly collaboration with Jackie Martin, who's just putting me in touch with a number of different indie devs from the indie game development community. But today I've got, of course, Manu, and who's the developer of Goblin Cleanup. But enough about him from my mouth. I will let you say a few things about yourself. So please, Manu, tell the listeners a little bit about you, what you do, where you're based. Of course, well, Argentina, but if you want to get into more detail, and what you're working on right now.
Okay, well, hi everyone. I am Manuel from Argentina. Okay, what do I do? Like I am a friend of Santiago and Christian and Lucas, and we are from Crisalu Studios. Like we formed this studio just to develop games, and I try to help them as any way possible, right? So if they have any issues or any problems, or they want to discuss something, or they want me to review something that is about the game or anywhere else, like doing marketing or try to prepare. Now we are doing the Kickstarter, so prepare some pages or some text. I am there. But also, like, we are gamers, and that's how we are friends, for example.
Yeah.
So, and Santiago, that is the main developer, and the one who came with the idea. Like, we were talking about it. Like, we came up with the idea together. Like, he got inspired by Lethal Company. Like, we were playing that game together, and the spark came out from there. But yeah, like we that's what I do, and we are working on Goblin Cleanup. So that is the big game we're working right now. First game of the studio. The studio was made because of the game, and we are like going with the wave, learning a lot from all the little quirks, and also it's like everything end up being so great for us. This was not planned. This was something happened, and we are trying to go for it as good as we can.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll dive into Goblin Cleanup and the story behind the studio as we speak. But that is already a great introduction. Thanks, Manu. So yeah, already our listeners know quite a lot about you, which is amazing. So what we can do now is what I like to do just to help put my guests at ease at the beginning. It's a little icebreaker. So just a little fun question for you. If you could be any game's character for one day, who would you be and why?
Okay. This was a good question, and we were talking with the team, about this. So for me, like the first name that came up was Kratos and Snake from Metal Gear.
Wait, though, the God of War trilogy Kratos or the new God of War Kratos?
Both, but like
Okay.
more like I just want to wield the Chaos Blade, So
Right, okay.
you can do it in both games, and
That's true. That's true.
like learn how to master, because they probably are difficult to master,
Yeah.
And kill gods. Do that and kill gods.
Kill gods.
Being a badass, it's fun.
Yeah, poor Kratos has a little bit of a curse on him right now because, of course, he's just chased by pantheons everywhere. So we don't want you here. I'm wondering what happens next, but yeah, we'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what that came up, and also like Snake, just being cool.
Snake,
you
mentioned,
yeah. And Christian, he's the technical artist of the team. He came up with a Snake as well. So we are fans from Metal Gear there, and he also he named Samus from the Metroid.
Right, Samus.
So that was a good one. And Lucas, who is our designer, the main artist, he came up with Faith from Mirror's Edge.
Faith from Mirror's Edge, that's the first.
Yeah. That was like, that's a good one also. Being able to do all of that stuff, like run around.
I mean, yeah, no, I loved Mirror's Edge. Yeah, love the first Mirror's Edge. I haven't played Catalyst, which was the second one. I heard it wasn't as unique as the first one, of course, but it was pretty cool. I mean, the first Mirror's Edge was so fun. It was amazing. Yeah,
I remember, like with the Mirror's Edge, I remember in Argentina there is a Sony store, and at that time they have the PlayStation in the store, and you can try the games. And this is not something common in Argentina, for example. So there was this one that you can play inside the store, and they got Mirror's Edge to play, and I played a little bit, and I came out with motion sickness because that it happened with that game. So that was fun.
It was like that, yeah. Well, you just unlocked a memory for me, actually, because those setups with consoles inside stores, they're pretty common in Sicily, where I come from, certainly back in Italy, but I haven't seen them here. Like, it's very unlikely here to have like a setup here in London where I'm based. So it's very unlikely to see a setup, unless I haven't looked in the right places, but it's very unlikely to see a setup where you have, a console with a TV and you can play a bunch of games there, and you can just try out a bunch of games before buying the console or before buying the actual games themselves. But yeah, no, I remember there were a lot of those back in the day with PS2 and PS3.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're still around in Italy because I haven't been there for 7 years, but well, I go back regularly, but not that way. So yeah. Anyway, that's a great memory unlocked for me. That's something that I liked. Yeah. Yeah. Well, then with these episodes, I always like to start from the beginning. So I would like to ask you, Manu, if you don't mind, going back to your childhood years with your mind, of course. What's your earliest, or maybe the fondest, the ones that you like the most, memory that has to do with video games?
Okay, so like I played video games since I was 4 years old, like really,
me too,
really young. So I remember being in my grandmother's living room, because I live with my grandma and with my mom, and playing with here in Argentina it was the family. I think it was kind of a Super Nintendo kind of console. So playing there, playing anything, because we have like this cartridge with 1,000 games.
Yeah.
That you only play in the first 5, but it doesn't matter. And it was like Mario. It was one ninja throwing shurikens, and you have to run really fast, and you only could pass the first level, and then that's it. Because you're too little to understand how to pass the game.
How
actually,
to move forward. Yeah, exactly.
But this is like my first memory, like that kind of games, and maybe like more older, like 10 and that, playing the Nintendo 64, like Smash and Pokemon Stadium. Like Pokemon Stadium was one of the most played games with friends, and yeah. that one,
Right.
and like that one was for me and for Lucas and Santiago. They played Tiny Toons, the Looney Tune game with the Sega. You know,
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
played the
Well,
game
I
as
haven't
well.
played it, but
Oh,
yeah.
that game was really
Wait.
great.
Let me look it up while you speak because I'm curious now. The Tiny Toons. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
feel free to go on.
I mean, if I don't remember if that's the great name, but it was like Looney Tune games, and you.
Oh, Buster's Hidden the Treasure. Yeah, okay.
I was. I mean,
I
those
think.
games you remember. You couldn't save, so
Yeah.
you needed to remember. I mean, in my case, I wasn't. I was too young to understand that there was a code that you can put to go to the level 10 or whatever.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, that's that.
But Santiago told me that he write it down because he went too far and then he missed the paper, so he couldn't
Oh no.
get again to that level. Yeah. And for Christian,
What?
it was a Chrono Trigger. Like that was like
Oh, Chrono
yeah,
Trigger.
like
Yeah.
the fondest memory he has is that, and also Chrono Trigger is like the game he realized there was a story in storytelling in games, and that may make him become a developer, a game developer, for example.
Well, I don't know when I realized that there were stories in games. Like when I actually had, because I played a lot of story heavy games in my childhood. Like there
No,
were
yeah.
Final Fantasies, there were Metal Gear Solid. But at some point, you just something clicks in your brain. You're like, oh, wait, actually, games tell pretty
exactly.
amazing stories.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the moment when I realized that was around the time, the Walking Dead game from
Yes.
Telltale Games came out. And around the same time, also To the Moon came out. And I remember playing those two games pretty much back to back because a lot of YouTubers were playing them. And I remember, I think The Walking Dead was the first game that made me cry at the ending.
Okay.
And then To the Moon just pretty much did that 10 times over. So yeah, I think that was the moment I realized, wow, games can tell amazing stories, and I want to be part of that world. So yeah, no, that's that's an interesting thing to think about. I remember one of my first memories that have to do with video games were playing with my uncle, who still loves games to this day, and we would just sit in his room and play games together. He would play and I would watch. But also I remember a weird console that was like 8-bit maybe, but it was like a ripoff of something else and it had a lot of mini games in it. And it was like white foreground on black background, and it was just very pixelated. And I have no idea what that console was. I have no idea how I could ever find it again. But yeah, I remember that too. And of course, Spyro Crash, those games were my generation anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, of the games that you guys mentioned, do you think, based on what you're doing now, which is Goblin Cleanup, which, I mean, it's I guess it's a completely different genre compared to what you were doing. Yeah. So yeah, do you think what you were playing are having any kind of influence on the kind of games that you want to make together?
I mean, like we think about that a little bit, and we say no, right? Because of course.
Yeah.
But what we do want to take from those games into the development of Goblin Cleanup is like we were looking for fun, right? I mean, we're trying to disconnect, looking for fun.
Yeah.
At that time, maybe you're playing co-op with something beside you, right? With two controllers, the split screen, or there is no split screen. Everyone is in the same screen, just playing together. So that is like maybe that is what we want to bring, so to generate those fun moments that maybe we experienced back then, But of course that graphics related, game related, or mechanics related, maybe it's not too much we can take from those games to now.
Yeah.
But
but the general sense of escapism and wanting to just have some fun. Then yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And well, of course, this is always an interesting question for a lot of people. But when did you guys realize you wanted to make games? For me, when I started realize, I think it was To the Moon, when that light bulb moment when I realized, oh yeah, I want to at least write a game one day.
Mm.
But what was it for you? Did you have like an aha moment,
For me, it was Metal
an
Gear.
epiphany?
Yeah, yeah. For me, it was Metal Gear for
All
sure.
right.
Like,
Okay.
and that is my favorite game all time franchise. Like I cannot. It was my teenage game, and I think that takes a lot in everyone. Like I think like the game when you are 15, 16, and it has a deep story or has something that is good. Maybe whatever you touch first with that in that time is going to stick. And in my case, I make my best friend try it, and then we were like talking in school all day, and teachers were telling us, "Hey,
Yeah.
shut up,
All those.
shut up, you in the back," and we were like talking about. Who was a spy and what and what's what
Wow. Yeah.
also
I remember those things. Yeah. When you just would go on and ramble on about a game
no, it was
with your,
crazy. It was
I
crazy.
don't know, classmates and whatnot. Yeah.
So,
Those were
so also
great days. Yeah.
having my best friend playing it and talking with him, it makes like everything, Uh, but that's the moment I realized, oh man, if I someday can make something like this, and of course it is impossible, right?
Yeah. Well, I
Like
mean, Metal Gear is Metal
only, yeah,
Gear,
yeah,
but
of course. So that was the
never say
moment,
never
like that was
though.
the moment, right? If I have to like pick one, and then like and for Lucas, for example, he was playing Final Fantasy. So
Right.
he was playing Final Fantasy 12,
Right.
and it just for him
Good
it
one.
was I never played the any Final Fantasy game for
Right.
myself
Okay.
because in my opinion
Okay.
it's like now it's too late, it's like I don't understand
Well, you know, with
anything.
the remakes and such,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I have to try it for sure. Like there
Yeah, the
is a
Final
reason.
Fantasy
It's
VII
one of
remake is
the
pretty
yeah.
good.
There has to be a reason, yeah, Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, like there's Final Fantasy 16 coming out in September. Like on the like, of course, by the time this episode goes out, I think actually by the time this episode goes out, it will be on the week that yeah, it will be on the week that Final Fantasy 16 comes out on PC because it comes out on the 17th of September.
mm, yeah,
And
he
this
was
episode will go
excited about it.
live on the
Yeah,
14th.
yeah.
So yeah. No, well, if you want to try a Final Fantasy, I hear that's a good one. It's
Okay,
not a traditional Final Fantasy as far as I know. So it has a few elements that are kind of more modern, but
okay.
it is a Final Fantasy all the same. So yeah, you might enjoy it.
Mm.
But yeah,
Then Christian, like I told before, like he was hooked with Chrono Trigger, but he told me that he discovered RPG Maker when he was 15.
oh yeah,
Yeah, so he was like going through internet and he came across the RPG Maker and he started to learn to do some stuff for fun to show his friends and he and his friends were like the characters in the story and he like that was the moment he found out about programming and he found like programming was something that you could do and having that reaction from his friends and that got him really hooked to be a game developer, for example.
mm-hmm.
um, and for Santiago, that he's the main programmer. He went to industrial. I don't know how you say this in other countries, but like a more technical high school where you maybe learn
Oh, I get it. Yeah, okay. We have something similar in Italy. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
like electrician stuff. Like he learned to be
yeah.
electrician stuff and that kind
Like I don't
of
know for
stuff.
my English
Mm,
speaking. I don't know for my English speaking listeners what that the equivalent of that would be, but it's like a professional school
yeah,
where you
exactly.
basically instead of in Italy, for example, in southern Italy, when you go to high school, you choose like a school that is specialized in a lot of different things. I went to, for example, a foreign languages school, which had a specialism on foreign languages, but also it had a lot of like theoretical or theory heavy subjects.
Mm,
Whereas professional schools, like Manu here is saying, they have like maybe education for electricians or technicians or like people who may become engineers one day and that kind of stuff. But yeah, sorry to just to offer more context to people. Yeah, go
Yes,
on.
and those schools are longer, like 1 year longer than like more traditional or norm or like bachelor's school rather than a technical school. And he learned there was a subject there about 3D modeling, and he like really I mean, and that's he's a gamer, of course, and he played games. Kind of different from the rest of the team because he's more a multiplayer based gamer,
Right, okay.
like more League of Legends or Counter. He was really good in Counter Strike in 1.6 back in the day. He's still good. I mean, he's still good now, of course.
Counter-Strike takes
But a
some
lot of
skill, yeah.
like more like a competitive kind of games rather than
Uh-huh.
story based or other kind.
Totally get that, yeah.
So rather than having a big game, like you say, oh, this game make me become a gamer. He learned about like 3D modeling, and he really liked that, and that's how he became like maybe this is a career I can pursue. Like more modeling and related to gaming and being more of an artist. Then he switched to a programmer, but in the beginning he was more attracted to being an artist and designing the models of the characters and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, it looks like everybody had a different entry point into the industry, but all equally interesting, which is pretty cool. And well, of course, we're getting closer to the present now. So, of course, you guys have been working on Goblin Cleanup for some time, and we're about to get into what the game actually is. But if there is say, for example, is there a particular challenge development related that has left a mark on you, something big that a big learning that other devs may want to hear?
Okay, like regarding a challenge or a particular challenge about development, there hasn't been any yet.
Okay. Good.
And that is good. I mean, the guys have experience and also they have worked together in the past. They worked together in the same company, so that they came from there and they know what they're doing. So they haven't hit the wall yet, of course, and let's touch wood, and that still doesn't happen. But actually, everything that is around the development, right, maybe was the biggest challenge. Doing I know, share your game, even though it's not in the perfect state, or maybe it is not what you want it to be, but still you have to do something about it. Otherwise, no one is going to know about it. And that is mainly one of the biggest thing that we want to share is that just share.
Marketing
just do it,
is
just do
difficult,
it.
yeah.
And you don't have to put too much mind actually to it. Just pick something and get it habit of.
Someone will see it.
Yes, eventually someone will say that, and that is what happened to us actually. Like nothing, we just was putting stuff out, and someone see it and share it, and then a snowball started that we still don't understand, but yeah. If you don't do anything, nothing is going to happen. If you do stuff, maybe something will happen, and that's what you're trying to go for.
Yeah, exactly. Something is better than nothing, at least. So yeah, that's a good point there. And well, you mentioned that you're all friends that just kind of got together and started developing a game together. So how did Crisalu Games come to be? Like, what's the story behind the studio?
Okay, so we were playing Little Company with Santiago.
All right, okay.
And our
so
story,
very recent.
and our story came like Santiago went to school with my cousin, and we have a really good relationship. I have with my cousin. Like we were playing these family games back in the day with my grandma together. So it's all come like from that, and we play League of Legends together like a lot with my cousin and Santiago and our other friends from his school. So that's how we met, like with Santiago, and for going to my cousin's school, I know him also like physically. It's not only on the internet. So we are friends, and then the pandemic came, and we just play more games together, other type of games, like more co-ops and stuff. And so we were playing Little Company, and after a couple of days, he just right. We were trying stuff like maybe one like I don't know, maybe every 3 months he will do something, and then he will just leave it out there because he was not engaged anymore with it or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, like this happens every time. Nothing super
as it
big and
happens,
nothing super important, or just like try something and then it dies, and like this happens every time. So we were playing Little Company, and a couple of weeks later he told me, "What do you think about merging Little Company and Viscera Cleanup? You know, the cleaning game. That is a cleaning game, right?"
I remember that one, yeah.
So he told me that, and we were just asking some question, and what do you think about this? I mean, if we can come up with something funny like Little Company, maybe it is a great, it's something that can be nice. Just focus on being a multiplayer game and having fun, or
the fun, the silly fun,
yeah, or the
element
levels,
of Company,
yeah. Like you just someone can share a clip and it is funny clip, you know. Even he dies with the trap, or they are whatever.
It's very shareable.
Yeah, it's very shareable.
Lethal Company is a very shareable game, and it's something that's probably what made it go viral.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
You just share a little snippet, and it will become
funny,
like instantly funny. Yeah,
you can see really fast that you can have fun with that game with your friends. So
yeah, exactly.
So at the beginning, it was not called Goblin Cleanup. The game was called Dungeon Reset.
Okay.
Because the idea was about that, right? So resetting a dungeon and leave it as it was before. So so you as a player, you can play the level again, and mostly from the roguelike. We are really huge on roguelikes. We love the roguelikes games like Hades and anything, and it is co-op better yet. So playing those games, we were like, hey, you always go to the dungeon like every time. You go, you die, you come back, you level up, you go again, and when you go again, everything is reset, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the idea came from that, and we really like the concept because it is a concept that anyone can understand. Like if you play games, that is concept, and actually seeing it like now, going back from people trying to talk about our game, they everyone understand that pretty fast, you know. So that was really a good point to like a really short concept that can be understood.
It is a very simple concept to understand, and it's a very powerful one too. Because personally, I like the idea a lot. It's just, someone has to clean up those dungeons once you go back, and someone has to bring the enemies back and everything where it was. So yeah, maybe there's like a company that's being hired to do that, and that's something that I would personally play.
Yeah, and we like pull from that string, and like if there is any kind of not motivation, but source of inspiration, you just pull from there, and something will come out. You know, like if you have played games, something will come out. So it is like something really powerful. It just happened. You know, we didn't think about it too much. That is another thing. Like the idea just materialized there, and
it's good. Yeah, that's when you know it's a good one. Yeah, no, that's great. And I'd say you answered my next two questions here and there, so I think I can skip them. But I guess now it's time to get to the core of what the Indie Diarist is all about, which is, the question that I love asking everybody, as my listeners will know. So, why are you a game developer, Manu? And why are your friends game developers? What is it that drives you forward?
Like we believe this, like we like audiovisual stuff, and we believe this is the best medium about that, because also you are part of it by being interactive. I mean, of course, we play games of story and you cry playing them, so it can be like really emotional, and like you being in control is a little bit extra. You're not just watching someone doing something. but you are like going through everything that's happening, right? So I know that is what this huge like powerful medium, you want to call it like that, and that is what every of us like about games.
Yeah, no, well, I see what you mean, and it's exactly what I hear from a lot of people, and also something that I like myself is just the fact that games bring together so many powerful things. In your case, games are also just games, so you can develop something that to make people have fun without having them cry necessarily.
Yeah, of
I
course,
feel
of
like
course.
crying and tears are very powerful emotions, but at the same time, having fun is an emotion as
Of
well, and I
course.
think it's part of game design to create something like that. And I think you guys are on the right track with that one, so that's really good. Well, I think you may have answered this question already when I asked you about the development challenge. But what is it? So what's something that drives you guys backwards? Like, what is your biggest struggle for being indie developers?
Well, like for that is money. We believe, I mean,
Yeah,
like this is, I mean,
of course.
and it's not just the money. It's like the uncertainty. Or like it's more about maybe that and having to
Mm-hmm.
deal with that. Like maybe we are in a position because we are from Argentina, and
Mm-hmm.
it is not too expensive compared to New York or compared to London, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It is expensive for us, but compared to the world, it's not that much.
Mm-hmm.
So we can handle maybe with less. Maybe we can handle with less, and it is easier to try to get some funding. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, and this is something I wanted to mention, like the game development is not the industry is not pretty developed in our country, not in Argentina
Okay.
or Uruguay. It is not something that you could say, "Oh, I'm going to be a game developer and it's going to be great." Or I mean,
Mm-hmm. I
maybe it
see.
is like this in everywhere, right? But if you are in the US
Mm-hmm.
or in Europe, there is a lot of game studios that are
It is
successful,
true. Mm-hmm.
that have a lot like in Japan, maybe I don't know, in Japan, Nintendo and Capcom and a lot of
Yeah.
companies, and in the US you have
And but also Eastern Europe as
Eastern
well, and
Europe. There are a lot of
Northern
one.
Europe,
Yeah,
and
yeah, like
mhm.
but here,
Southern Europe not so much.
uh-huh.
I'll guarantee you, because like with coming from Italy, I know that
Hmm.
Italy is a very tricky place for game development.
Yeah,
Like not a lot of subsidies, not a lot of support from the government and whatnot, because the government just doesn't understand the medium. Like a
exactly.
bunch of old people.
Exactly.
But the UK is pretty good with game development. There's a game development fund. There's a lot of great things here. Poland is good for game development. Eastern Europe, well, Ukraine used to be. Now I suppose things are a bit rougher there.
Mm.
But yeah, I see exactly what you mean, and of course the US, like the US is like the Eden of game development. A lot of studios come from there,
Mm.
and which is a shame for the rest of the world. But at the same time, I can see why things kind of develop there over time. Well,
Yeah, and
where the internet was
it's
born.
difficult to find maybe someone willing to spend money in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the last 20 years that we are being with the crisis every day,
Mm-hmm.
and that it is like
Yeah.
hard, and it is also difficult to pick this as a career because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be more successful, and the guys were working at the company in the UK, I think. Like the
Mm-hmm.
company they're working before was in the UK, and they were making video
Mm-hmm.
games there, and they were like freelancing, and that
Right.
is what you do if you want to become if you want to live here but dedicate
Mm-hmm.
to game development. Probably that's what you do.
Yeah.
You don't work in a
Mm-hmm.
company here. They are good examples, but maybe they are more mobile games or something that, and the guys maybe want
Of
something
course. Mm-hmm.
more a console game or a PC game or something more like bigger,
Mm-hmm.
or challenging.
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like the money, the uncertainty. But it is better. Like we are still, they are still like living with their savings, like
Mm-hmm.
since February, I guess, or January, uh, and they are making a huge effort, like holding, because a lot of publishers have come in asking
Mm-hmm.
for the game. we wanted to do the Kickstarter campaign earlier. Rather than in September. Maybe we wanted to do it in June or July. We are glad we didn't do it, though. I mean, it was good for us to hold it.
Okay.
And to prepare better. It takes a lot of time. Like the campaign, you have to do a lot of art and a lot of stuff, images and GIFs, and maybe stuff for the game to maybe prepare something in a trailer that is not there yet. But yeah. And also, the guys just wanted to develop a game. Like as a developer, like for them as a developer, they just want to develop the game, and everything related, everything around it is more of the setback that you mentioned. Like it's like a setback. So having to do the marketing, having to communicate between them, like I share ideas. I mean, or having to having a meeting to discuss about a topic, and then having to write it down or condense it in a documentation file or something like those kind of things. They rather don't do it and just program or doing the art. But of course, that is really important, and that is maybe that's where I come in and trying to force them to, hey, no, just come on, guys.
Like project management.
Helping around the project management and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something that I hear from a lot of developers. I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to look after the business side. I just want to work on the game. But then, I mean, you need people to know about you. You need to keep the ship afloat, so to speak, and avoid it from sinking. So yeah, but yeah. Well, we mentioned the Kickstarter campaign a few times here. So can you tell the listeners a little bit more about the Kickstarter campaign, when they can expect it to start and finish, and if you can already say a few things about it.
Okay, like we are tuning the latest details. I like making pictures for the rewards. We have two figurines. I don't know if I should say that, but let's go.
Oh, that's fine. Well, by the time this episode is out, the Kickstarter will be live.
Yeah, of course.
I think you can disclose that.
We can talk about this. So we have two figurines. Then looking at the cost of having two figurines, it's not a good idea to have two figurines. Okay. Just to say this, like we are asking for 30K, for example, just to have our game funded until early access. We have a lot of goals so that we can maybe hopefully get the full game funded until the 1.0 version, and we are cool with that, and we don't have to go and ask for money in the middle of the full development. But like 30K is something that we need to survive until the early access, right? Having, of course, you can go and ask for different budgets or different companies that make the figurines. But for the figurine, it's going to be like 30K just for doing figurines. And if you have two different figurines, you need 30K for each one, because they are different.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Because you are a different mold, and the thing that is costly is the mold, beside the resources to make the figurine, right? So
it's more expensive than I thought. Yeah.
It is expensive, and we like them both, and we just couldn't decide. And going into our Discord and talking with the community, it was like pretty much split decision. And at the end, we came up with maybe we are having one figurine but contains both. So we in one piece.
That's a good compromise. Yes.
And we also add the slime that wasn't there, so now we have only one with the mimic, the maid, and the slime. And and they are doing it now so that we can have some pictures, for example, to show. And it is hard. It's harder than I expected.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, planning all the rewards and the tiers and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I wish you all the best with the campaign and all the luck. I think I will support it too, because I like cleaning games. I finished Power Wash Simulator, and I even made my best friend play it. So that's
game. Oh my god.
That's incredible. It even has lore and the volcano and time travel and whatnot.
No,
I mean, it's just insane.
That game is drugs. I don't know. It's crazy. You wanted to clean everything.
Yeah, exactly. I made me want to buy a power wash. I'm glad I didn't, because I have nothing to power wash. But anyway,
maybe the most important is that the date when we are going to launch the campaign.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't have an official date yet, but it's going to be. We are hoping for the 25th. This is going to be after the fact, right? So who cares? But we are hoping for the 25th, and we are for the moment we are good with that date. We hope we are going to be ready even before of that. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. Well, we'll see, and I'm looking forward to it myself. So yeah. Well, I think we got to nearly the end of the episode. I think we had a lovely chat, but I have a couple more questions for you just to keep things fun and to wrap up in a nice way. So the first one isn't, it's still pretty introspective, so you might find it interesting, but the other one is a little bit more fun. One is, imagine writing a letter to yourself, or a note, sending a note to yourself, but like, I don't know, maybe, I would say 10 years younger, but I like to think to the little kid who was playing games for the first time, and playing Sonic and playing Mario with the Super Nintendo and whatnot. What would you say?
First of all, and this was like a joke, like from thinking a lot of this was like, don't take the bank shot.
Okay.
And learn, it was like the most that come fast was, don't take the bank shot. It was a joke, actually. I think no one worked in the bank. Learn English because also one of the most things I do to help them is this kind of stuff, and speaking in English and having conversation with the publishers and with everyone, with Chucky with the Shenteland team and all of this. Buy Bitcoin, of course. Buy
Bitcoin, yeah.
Buy Bitcoin. I mean, you just have to do it.
And maybe don't dump a hard drive in a dumpster yet. Wait a few years.
But for the little kid, it's more like none of us had like a super discouraged think about games, or that we didn't follow, for example. But it was like, this is connected with Argentina, right? And not being a developed country regarding the gaming industry and making video games. So it is hard, like, to pick that as a career, because it is the same as being an artist. Like when you go to your parents and you say, I want to be I want to play the piano, for a living. And they are going
to be a writer.
They're going to, or being a writer, exactly. I don't know.
I know that.
I mean, in Argentina it's the same. Like, if you want to your parents and say, I want to be a game developer,
they'll be like, what?
And of course, I mean, it's not only the if the country is developed or not, but back in our day, like in the 90s, gaming was not something big, super big. I mean, it was really big, but it was not something our parents understand.
Yeah, no,
back in the day.
It's just another generation.
Yeah, it's another generation, of course. Maybe now it's just something that easier to understand, or you see it more often. But just like follow your gut, right? So for the kid, like, your gut is great. Keep that. Keep following.
Perfect. Yeah.
Also is don't. I mean, for the guys, they wanted to do a career in gaming, but they postpone it, right? So instead of instead of going to the university to learn gaming by 18 or 19, maybe they did it in the 22 or the 21, because they went to in another career path, more like a traditional career path, or engineering or stuff like that, and they realized it was not that. I mean, if you want to be a game developer, here is not. It's you don't supposed to be here,
I have similar regrets, not for game development, because right now the industry is crap, and I feel like I would be under a bridge right now. But when it comes to just a lot of other things, like programming, for example, I feel like I would have loved to work in AI, but I feel like it will take me so much to just learn everything that has to do with language models and AI development and neural networks and whatnot. Now, it's probably not worth the time investment. I still like programming. I did like a few programming courses and whatnot, but it's not the same. Of course, it's just software development and whatnot, and also game development. But I do have some regrets in that regard because I would have loved to just pick up programming a lot earlier and a lot sooner in my life. So I think I know exactly what you mean there. Just do it sooner. Don't listen to anybody. Just listen to your gut feeling and do it.
Yeah.
Because then in 10 years you'll want to just,
I mean, for me, even though,
up for it.
even though with Metal Gear, I have this like dream of it would be great if I make something like this. Like growing up, studying in the University for Engineering and Programming, like I did that. You start to think about, okay, but for making this game, like you don't realize this when you're 15, right? But then when you grow older, it's like, okay, 200 people work on this, and 20 of them are writers, 20 of them are artists, 20 of them are even maybe you have actors. Like it is a huge team, and when you're 15, it's like I want to make this all by myself, right? That is the idea, and then you understand that this is way bigger. It is impossible for you alone do this, and that is when I like just drop it. For me, I just like drop any related to game development because it is hard. I mean, you need a really huge team if you want to make a game that big, right? I mean, you don't have.
I mean,
you don't
something
have to.
like Goblin Cleanup, the Power War Simulator, Goblin Cleanup doesn't need like.
Doesn't need. Yeah. You can do it. Probably you can do it. You can do that alone. Yeah, you can take more time, less time, but it is something. It does not require story, script.
Probably more difficult to do an Assassin's Creed on your own.
Exactly.
That's definitely that. Okay, well then I guess we have. I have one last fun question for you, which is, if you had unlimited budget and time, so resources in general, what game would you create?
Okay, so here we have a Metroidvania, an MMO, a roguelike, a Souls-like, and a cozy farm.
Okay.
So.
All right, perfect. So
all of that. So.
Which one's yours? Just out of curiosity.
Roguelike. Yeah.
Roguelike, yeah, of course.
A co-op roguelike. Like we right now we are playing Core Keeper. Oh my god.
Oh, Core Keeper, yeah, I played it with my Discord community. God. It's just, it's beautiful.
We were waiting for the 1.0 because it was like, this is going to be a great game. Just let's wait it to be everything complete.
It is good.
And I was until 5 a.m. last night.
Wow, yeah. Okay. No, it's a good game. It's a good game. Yeah.
And we were playing together, like with Santiago and a cousin of mine.
It gave me Terraria vibes, even Minecraft vibes from back in the day when just you would spend days playing those games with your friends or just doing anything because you can always find something else to do. And it's cool. Like there's always another thing. Like in Stardew Valley, like I collected 90 hours in that game just because you can always do the next thing. Like, I'll do just another day or just another season, and then you're just there. So I get exactly.
No, man, it is funny. I mean, it happened. Like, okay, let's build a railway over there, right? And you go to the right, and suddenly you are breaking walls because there was a shiny stuff there, and then there's a shiny stuff over another side, and you ask, hey Santi, how is the rail going? Oh, I forgot. Okay, I going back to that. Yeah.
It's full of distractions. It's good at keeping you hooked, and I like games like that.
What a great game! It's a great game.
Yeah, it always gives you something to do. That's amazing. Well, okay then, Manu. It's been beautiful talking to you and indirectly talking to the team as well. This is the first time it happened, actually, that you had answers from the team too. That was really cool. And I think it's time for some party words. So where can other people find you and the team? And if they do, what is the best way to support you?
Okay, if the best game, like for any developer, the best way is giving feedback. Like try out the game, if you think it is of your liking, just try it out. If there is a demo available, just try it out. The best way to help any game you like is wishlist. The wishlist is the only thing that the Steam has to determine if your game is going to be successful or not. So the more wishlist, the more they show all the way around, and it has like a snowball effect, right? So that is the best thing. Also, like any follow on social media, retweets, likes. I mean, anything helps, especially in the beginning, right? I mean, especially in the beginning, if you find this game or that you didn't know about, that no one knows about, because no one in the media is picking your tweets and sharing them. So
yeah,
but maybe you came across or in Reddit or whatever, just give feedback, try it out, be nice. This is usually
nice is especially
this
important.
is usually very shy people, or more introvert people than extrovert people doing all this kind of stuff. So
so we're very sensitive. Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
and any kind of sharing, is super welcoming, and feedback, and the wish list. Like, if there isn't in Steam, the wish list, and if not, any social media, anything.
And of course, by the time, I mean, maybe not by the time this episode goes out, but the Kickstarter campaign will be live in September. So check out the links in the description, because I will put all of these links in the description of the episode, and you can support Goblin Cleanup by going to the Kickstarter page and just pledging a little amount, because every little thing helps. And also, of course, wishlisting the game on Steam. That is going to help the team as well. But anything that you can do, I'm sure Manu and his team at Crisalu Games will really appreciate a lot. So yeah. But yeah, well, thank you so much, Manu, for a beautiful chat. This was so lovely, and for being your first time in a podcast, it went really well. I can tell you that. So yeah, well, I wish you the best of luck with Goblin Cleanup. It's a game that I will definitely play myself, because I like the concept and I like the genre, and I'm just looking forward to the release. So yeah.
No, yes, I just thank you for inviting us here to talk about our game. And just share it more, and hopefully it reaches more people. Also, thanks a lot for our community, in that they are following us, cheering us. We have a huge community in Discord. All the ideas, the feedback, the fan art. We have one of the guys make us emojis. Custom emojis for the Discord, and they're really great.
Right.
We would really like to put that in the game, for example. A lot of content creators like yourself, that they are playing the game, that making videos about the game. Like the other day, I was like watching. We look for it, like Goblin Cleanup in YouTube, and search for upload time. And they were like 5 videos uploaded yesterday. So we don't understand all of this. It is crazy. Like, it is overwhelming, like, for sure. Like, we didn't, nothing of this was planned. It was just going to be another idea that was going to die. But Christian and Lucas, they came aboard. They really put everything there, and I don't know, man. Like, one retweet changed everything. Because of that, publisher came. Because of that, we make a demo. Because of that, people played.
Well, it sounds like the idea has a lot of potential, if anything.
Yeah.
So I bet it is very crazy, and it can feel overwhelming. But you guys will do great, and honestly, I can't wait to play the game myself. Maybe I'll play the demo tonight. We'll see, but I'll let you know if I do. But yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. All right, friends, and that's a wrap on another episode of the Indie Diaries podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Manu for being an amazing guest for the show. Your game, Goblin Cleanup, I tried it in first person, as I mentioned in chat, and it's just amazing. So you guys, listeners, if you're curious about Goblin Cleanup, you can go on youtube.com/TheIndieDiarist and you'll find a new episode of Blank Pages there, which dropped last week, where I try Goblin Cleanup in first person. So you can see some of it, you can hear some of Manu's story from this episode, and generally just give it a look. And yeah, also the Kickstarter campaign for Goblin Cleanup is already live because it went live on the 1st of October. So you can go on Kickstarter or the links in the description of this episode and check out the campaign so you can support Goblin Cleanup in first person. So yeah, that is it when it comes to Goblin Cleanup. And again, thank you, Manu, for being such an amazing guest for the show. Also, of course, I want to shout out to Jackie Martin, who's just an amazing marketer. You guys should look her up as well on Twitter or Threads or whatever she is right now these days. And she's most active because she helps a lot of indie developers and she shares a lot of advice on indie game marketing. So I think you guys should really connect with her because she's always up for a chat. And of course, I want to shout out to my Patreons as well, who always support me and are amazing. So I love having you as supporters of the show. Zucchini, Fishbone Dev, and Peleg, you guys are incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you two listeners want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/TheIndieDiarist to check out all of my tiers, or theindiediarist.com to connect with me directly and find other ways in which you can support me. Lastly, if you're an indie game developer yourself, please get in touch because I would love to tell your story to the world. So I'll speak to you in the next episode.